Ireland and Australia, UK and US, and there's really no convenient time slot.
That definitely makes it tricky.
We try to minimize those as much as we can, but there are on occasion when we do have to do that. Hi, Kate. Oh,
Sorry,
no.
we can't hear you.
We can't hear you.
Lavi, should we show Lauren how to share her screen? Lauren, have you figured out how to share your screen yet?
There is a little button that says share screen.
That's
so
That's it.
I don't know if I need permission, but I think I got it.
Yeah,
No,
I think so too.
permission.
You don't need permission.
I don't know whether you used Restream before, so I figured I told Karthika maybe you want to make sure you're comfortable with that.
Yeah. I'm usually pretty good at figuring things out, but it seems relatively straightforward.
I think I heard Kate or somebody there briefly.
She usually like calls in with her phone, so it always is a little tricky for her when she is starting something new.
Yeah, because I've seen your video clips, and there's always some challenge on audio for her.
You hear me now?
Oh, we can. You're a little muffled.
Okay. Better?
Yeah.
A little better.
Definitely audible. Yeah.
Where's the microphone on this thing?
Oh, that's better. Yeah,
that's
you sound
good. Yeah, you're great.
Okay. Well, it's a miracle.
right. Yeah, you sound great.
I have headphone issues, like, constantly.
So did you work for Cirrus or did you work for XM?
For XM before the merge.
Okay, all right. So did you ever work in the Washington D.C. Northeast building?
Yeah, that's where I was.
Ah, okay. So yeah, I lived in D.C. for a really long time, and
You did?
yeah, I think the founder of XM Satellite went to Clark University in Worcester, Mass, and so we had a alumni gathering there, a party there.
Lon Levin? Who was
Sorry?
it? Was it Lon Levin or Hugh?
Hugh, I think. Yeah.
Hugh. Okay.
Yeah, and you had that whole Star Trek like command center, right? Because somebody from NORAD or somebody built that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, this is many years ago, but yeah, I remember getting the whole tour. And,
It was so cool, right?
Yeah, so I've actually been to your office a very long time ago.
Yeah, so those little booths, that's where I worked every single day.
Oh, okay.
Totally.
All right.
When you visited, were the DJs on the top floor or the bottom floor?
They were on the top floor.
Yes, that's when I got there too. It was mayhem, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was amazing. I mean, it was really new at that time. I mean, maybe a year or two into the market. Yeah, I think. Yeah, but so it's really early, and the thing with Cirrus hadn't happened yet, so it was still XM, and battling it out between the two companies.
I was there in year three through 6. So I got there when you saw it, and then through the merger when they moved us downstairs. So tells you a lot about it.
Okay, right, and it was just amazing. I mean, to see the whole thing, all of the tracks. I mean, they were able to, they were showing us the equipment when they could just pick a particular song and then have all the artists that ever sang that song come up. I mean, okay, you got it in iTunes now, but it just showed you everything and how the DJs were able to pick whichever song they would want to play from whichever artist that sang that. It was pretty cool. It's quite radical in the day.
Yeah, I mean, that, by the way, that just informed a lot about really how Lately works and how we can talk about it today, of course, but what I did for Walmart. So
okay, cool.
Totally.
So we're right on time. So why don't I make the official start?
You guys gotta wait for this. I've been waiting for this.
Don't put it up.
Okay, wait. You gotta tell me how to pronounce your names before we go live, real quick.
Yeah, I'm Karthi. He's Lavindra.
Karthi Lavindra. Karthi Lavindra. Awesome. Beautiful.
And Kate
Karthi,
and Lauren.
like Kate.
Yeah.
All right. So let me just make our formal introductions like we normally do, and then we'll sort of do a little bit of a sponsor shout out, and we're good to go. Yeah. So hi
Fantastic.
everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on wherever you're in the world today. Thank you for joining us again on Pandemic Punditry's Marketing in a Pandemic. Today's program is about AI-powered social media marketing, and we are thrilled to have none other than Kate Bradley Chernis in the house and Lauren Thoreau in the house. So we did a little bit of a DJ introduction because you'll understand why in a bit, but plus, I think from all of the interactions we've been having online prior to this sort of show, it's pretty clear that Kate has a unique sort of personality which shines through all of her content, which I think we'll be talking about as well. But it was one of those things that it's such a joy to actually receive that. And we just had Jason Mark Campbell on Tuesday, and he talked about selling with love. And I think, Kate, you're a great example of marketing with love because that comes right through everything you do in terms of your communication with us thus far. So very interesting to sort of have you guys back to back. I think that would be a very interesting thing. So I just want to, before we sort of get into the crux of the program, to thank our sponsor Hatch and Hatch Global. Thanks to them, we've expanded our reach in this time zone to not only India, Sri Lanka, but now adding Pakistan and Bangladesh to our live viewing audience. Our TV sponsor, Art TV, our radio sponsor, TNL Now, our magazine and news sponsors, Read Me and Echelon. So thank you very much, guys, for being a part of the Pandemic Punditry show. So Kate, I think you're the CEO, and then Lauren, you're the head of growth. I love that term, by the way, not head of sales.
Thanks.
We thought about it.
Yeah, so I mean, we're pretty excited that having two women entrepreneurs and women techies on the show. We always love to sort of showcase more female talent in the tech area. So great to have you. Maybe you could start off by giving the audience a little bit of flavor about your background and how you came to sort of found lately, and what in your past sort of helped you sort of get where you are today. That will be sort of interesting in terms of context. So please go ahead, Kate.
Well, thank you so much, Karthi and Lavindra. You're amazing. And by the way, I love now more than ever, I love connecting with people across the world. Like, it's so validating because most people are like, what the hell is going on in your country? Which is fine. And it's good to know that we still have the capability to communicate. I mean, we're all trying to maintain the most normal lives we can, and this is part of it. So, and the fact that Lauren and I are both women, we also thought about that too, just so you know, so we can talk about it later. But there's a reason that it's Lauren and not someone else here. She's a pretty unique individual. First of all, she can tolerate me, which says something. Ask my husband.
That's exactly what I say about Lolly.
Not and I worked together before as well. So.
Right. I mean, there's a yin and yang in some sense, I guess, when you're a duo, but then there's also similarities. So I don't know about you guys, but we can read each other's minds, and Lauren can certainly read mine, which is great. And for me, what's so validating about that in the tech world especially is there's so many times, frankly, when we're rolling our eyes, we're just like, oh, this again. And it's usually because, I don't know if you guys have heard the stat, but it's 98% harder for a woman to raise money in a venture capital world than a man. 98%. And that's white people. If you're black, if you're not even on the board, right? So it's hard. And so to have a teammate who is also a woman, because a lot of times, even my friends, my guy co-founders who are amazing and thoughtful and empathetic and sympathetic, they might not pick it up the same way. And the first thought you have is, am I crazy? I'm crazy. This must be my fault.
I can relate. Trust me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So not to start on a down note, but like it's important that you pointed that out. And hey, we're 3-1 today. So
Yeah, I'm definitely outnumbered. And my wife's listening somewhere, so I'm definitely outnumbered. It's 4-1.
she's good. But it's so funny. So I came from radio, as you pointed out. Before that, I was a line cook, and another boys' world and another pirate world, right? So like what's interesting to me about radio and cooking is that there's this pressure, because I was in live radio before XM, so I had that experience as well. There's this pressure to get it all up hot at the same time, right? So that same sense of juggling the chaos, the culture, the practical jokes, the ribbing, the cursing, all that stuff, which I love that. I mean, there's a reason that I'm in startup life, because there's no rules, right? And it's meant to be cowboy, cowgirl land. And so to have a teammate like Lauren who knows that as well, right? So that's another, all my teammates know that, right? And that's a key, that's a key qualification if you decide to be an employee in startup land. I mean, if not, you got to roll with it. But I've been rereading Anthony Bourdain's Kitchen Confidential.
Yes, excellent. Right?
And I lived that life. It's all true. I was the girl in the kitchen who like could swing it like the guys, right? And I'd forgotten a little bit about it, and I was rereading it, thinking about this life and how much they have in common. And radio, right, the same kind of thing, and that there's something about the not the abnormality, but the insouciance. Okay, that's a big word, but the insouciance of cooking, of radio, of startup life, that is so magnetic to me, and I can't live without, and I don't want to live without, and I don't want to vanilla it ever, So when I say 98%, yeah, that includes all the sexual harassment and all that stuff. I'm not saying I like that stuff, but I have a tolerance, for some high tolerance for a lot of that, chaos. And I love being able to say I can beat it. That's a good feeling.
No, but interesting. I mean, we should do a special program on. I mean, look at what a fabulous job Jacinda has done, the Prime Minister of New Zealand, and she was a DJ. So maybe there is something here.
There is.
Of being a DJ. And I know in Sri Lanka, where I'm originally from, there's Harpo Gunaratna, who's a good friend of ours. He was a DJ. He's got a restaurant and food empire now. So maybe there is something there where, that being a DJ, makes you a great candidate for leadership.
I do actually know a lot of people who are former music industry employees in one way or another who are now in startup land, because I think you're absolutely right. Like there's just something about, that ride, and the highs and the lows. And also for me, and so getting back to lately, so the thing I love about radio is the theater of the mind, which, for podcasters out there, there's still some of that, and you can still actually convey it, even though we're doing, a screen share here or a video. But so the theater of the mind and the ability of you, the host, so Lavindra and Karthi, you know this very well, like your job as the host is to make me feel as though I'm on the journey with you. Not so much that you're driving the ship, you are commanding it, but that I have a voice too. So that was my goal in radio. Like, even though I owned the mic, making you feel like you're part of the conversation is the magic, right? Because what that does is it makes you trust me, and you'll go anywhere with me, right? And when you'll go anywhere with me, you're not a listener anymore. You're a fan. Big difference, right?
Yes. Well said.
Yeah. And so in marketing, you want the same thing. And for customers, you want the same thing. I want my customers to be evangelists. It's not by accident, right? I want my employees, I want my Laurens to be evangelists, right? Absolutely. And I work hard on that. Sometimes I'm a little sneaky about it, but I do work hard about that. And we think about it certainly as a team as well in everything we do. And this idea of that trust, it's a human connection. Our friend Brian Kramer, the great marketer, he coined the phrase H2H. So there's no more B2B, there's no more B2C. It's only H2H, human to human. Yeah, so you guys know this really well. And it's something we live and breathe, but early on we decided, hey, we're going to be a little engine for a long time probably. So what can make noise, you know? Not product. I mean, the product is amazing. It's amazing. But like that we know that's not really what cuts through the noise. I mean, we can see it historically. There's plenty of bad products that people use all the time, right? So what is it? And it's marketing. It's a big one. Marketing is a big one. And it's customer care, customer service. Like it's putting Lauren out front, not always me, right?
My wife always says that you talk to the customers because I might tell them off. So
Yeah. Well, okay. So let's talk about. So that's so interesting to me. So in the cooking industry, I was never out front. I was never a waiter, a waitress. I was never a bartender because I don't do well with people. Frankly, It's really hard for me not to speak my mind and say like, "Suck it, you're being annoying," right? So again, there's a reason that Lauren is the head of growth and not me. And it takes a lot of effort for me to do this all day, right? And because it's not my favorite thing to do. I'm a product person. I'm really interested in the making of the things, which drives my CPO a little bit crazy because I'm a little controlling there. But I find it takes the energy out of me. So at the end of the day, when I'm having dinner with David, my husband, I don't want to sit down at the table. I want to watch TV. I just talked all day to people. I small talked all day. Oh my God. Like that's hard work. Kill me now someday.
Oh my God. Right? Yes.
Yeah. So anyways, but in order to do that, when it's not so much your nature, you got to figure out like, I mean, the thing about radio is, I think of the world in two parts. There's broadcasters and there's fans, and we both need each other. And which are you, right? So I'm a broadcaster. That's my role. I like the sound of my voice. I like being in charge. Lauren knows I like conducting. Like that's my role. You know, I know enough to lift others up, and I know enough to walk both lines. You know, but it's not where my nature is, and that's totally okay. Right. So it's my job as a CEO to surround myself with people who can fill in the things that I'm bad at, right? Whatever it might be, and help the ship move forward.
And that's a really interesting observation you just had about, surrounding yourself with people who sort of fill in the gaps for you. And I find that, male CEOs have a real challenge with that. It's almost like admitting that they don't know something, I think we do less of that. I mean, I personally do more of it because I've always said, look, I have all these gaps and let's find people. I have no problem with that. But a lot of people I've worked for in the past, they've had that issue where they are reticent to sort of acknowledge the fact that they don't have that skill. So they sort of bluff their way through. Whereas I think women tend to be like, yeah, I don't know that. Let's get somebody, right? I think, and maybe that's why the world should be ruled by women going forward. I think.
It's funny. I've had female venture capitalists chide me for that and saying, you need to go in the meeting knowing all these things. And I'm like, no, I don't. It's like my car. Like, I don't need to know how to change the oil. There's a dude down the road that can do that for me. Like, I can learn enough about it. I just need to know enough how much he's worth an hour. That's all I need to know.
Right.
Is he better or the other guy down the street? Right.
So I know you were, you did a Walmart gig, you did, with all these spreadsheets, you over the ROI by 130%, 160%. I don't recall the number correctly, but how did you sort of go from like a, marketing agency person, post music director at SiriusXM, and how do you get into this aspect of it? And then what was the genesis of that sort of work for lately?
Yeah. So the original question that you asked me that I still haven't answered yet. Sorry.
That's okay. We got plenty of time.
I got on the tangent there. Hi, Chris. So hi, is it Arnav out there?
Yeah, Arnav, yeah. He's a regular show, yes.
So the long story or the short story, Lauren, I guess we'll go for the long one because it's more interesting. It's most interesting. So, Karthi and Lavindra, I was at XM, and like I said, it was a tough culture, and I think that part of it started getting to me. And the thing that started getting to me was a couple of things. It was very corporate, and so it was much bigger than I'd worked at IBM a little bit before, but like kind of as a side employee, not really as a main employee. So I didn't have to follow all the rules, right? So I had some corporate experience, but suddenly everyone was looking at you, and email was just happening, right? So like I learned real fast what Reply All did and didn't do, right? And we were all kind of discovering that at the same time, you know. But like my personality was not going to flow in a big corporate environment, you know. And I was I didn't understand why though yet, because I hadn't really, you know, put those pieces together. But part of the reason why is because I was a woman, and I was, you know, a semi-attractive woman. And so like right away there was like all these eyeballs on me, all these pressures. I mean, my boss used to literally be on the phone with A&R guys and ask them like about my voice to them and be like, did she get you hard? This is his question. He's asking them. I'm not kidding. I can hear him. He's right there, you know? Yeah. And it was a joke. It was like a cool thing. Oh yeah, she did. Oh, awesome. Yeah. She's the best fit for the station. She's going to be a great music director, you know? So like, and I wanted to rise to that occasion, you know? So, because that was the culture was. And there was lots of things like if you complained, you were told never to go to HR. There was just this whole thing. You wanted to fit in. And I'm like, I was at the show, man. This is the best job you can get in radio, right? I got it. How the hell did I do that? There were only a couple hundred, you know, DJs there at the same time, and they were all the best in the world. And I wasn't the best in the world, but somehow I got there, you know? So my body started screaming at me. And it started letting me know, hey, this isn't right for you. And so I had all these different ailments, and eventually it was debilitating. I had no support from XM at all. And it was very difficult because I wasn't believed. It didn't look like I was injured. I just had tendonitis and epicondylitis so bad that I couldn't type it all without pain. So I looked normal. And I finally, through a lot of challenges, moved to another job. And it was a similar job. It was music industry, a much smaller company, but a boys club, same thing, same different day, right? And I didn't know enough that I was making the problem worse because like I thought I was doing the right thing, which is like screaming, hi, this isn't right. And it wasn't the right thing. I wasn't willing to play the game. And so my dad one day shook me by the shoulders and just said, you can't work for other people. There's no shame in that. That's what he said. Best advice my dad ever gave me. He gave me one other piece of great advice, which is completely sexist but true, which was always wear a skirt to get your car fixed. And, and it worked. You do get a discount. So I'm just saying. So see what I'm saying? There's this duplicitous nature, right, of everything. So anyway, so I understood what my dad was saying. I had an aha moment because that was a new idea for me. And I had a way out suddenly. Like I could see, oh, my dad has his own business. My mom had her own business. People do this. Mm-hmm. What? They do this. Oh my God. And it wasn't only guys. Like I had like the people that I worked for were a bunch of guys who'd started a company, you know? And I was like, oh, okay. So my husband at the time, my boyfriend, he was so kind and thoughtful. He went right out to Barnes and Noble, the actual bookstore, and bought me Guy Kawasaki's Art of the Start, startup handbook, right? And I didn't know who Guy Kawasaki was then, but I thought, okay, yeah, read a book. So I'll read a book about it. And I started in, and I got to about the first or second chapter, and he says, don't make a plan, just get started. And what he's meaning is people waste time planning all the time. You just got to get going, throw it out there. But I didn't know what that meant, so I was like, well, I don't need this book. So I tossed it. I never picked it up again, actually, because I was like, I did try a little bit, but it was not. I realized quickly that the advice in there is motivating if you haven't started. But once you've started, you can't apply any of that advice because everybody's journey is different. There's no book or map, right? Correct. And then in the same week, I read a self-help book called The Secret, which I don't know if you guys have read that. Lauren, I think you said you saw the movie, right? Yeah, the movie sucks too. It's a terrible book. It's so poorly. I was a fiction writing major, so I was reading this book just wanting to gouge my eyeballs out because I was like, oh my God. But it made me think. It forced me to think. And the problem was I was part of my own problem. All I did was complain. I hate my job. I hate the people I work with. I hate. I smoked all the time. I was like Pigpen on Charlie Brown, but like, toxic negativity, right? And it just so happened that what I learned from that book was that I had to stop that. I had to stop that thinking and that speaking. And so I actually stopped. I stopped hanging out with some of my friends because we were all perpetuating the conversation, how much we hated working here. Misery loves company. Yes. And then in the same week, I happened to go to lunch with some clients, which was unusual. Usually people mailed you the product, and I went to lunch with them, and I didn't know that they were angel investors. And they said, "Hey, we really like you. Let's start a company together. Here's $50,000."
Wow.
Fantastic.
Just like that.
Just like that. Yeah. My husband is always like, "I just gave you that book." What happened?
So the secret worked?
The secret did work because I was thinking, it made me think of, I used to play softball in junior high and high school, and I know the feeling of hitting a line drive. It feels good, that smack of that ball, and what you're thinking in that moment. And I knew that in that moment, I wasn't thinking, I suck, I hate this game, I hate my life. That's not what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, I'm the best. I'm going to slug this sucker right out of here, right? So I knew that there was something to that. I don't know if it's the secret, but like I was actually just watching on Netflix last night, The Chef's Table. I love that. There's a new series, a new season out about barbecue, and they were talking about Rodney Scott down in Carolina, and the whole time he's wearing this T-shirt that says "Make every day a good day," and there's a corniness that I don't subscribe to about self-help and whatever, but I personally am in a fairly dark place at the moment. And I just really needed to watch and hear that last night. And I thought, well, shit. Yeah, make every day a good day. What am I doing? I'm waking up assuming my day is going to suck. That's bullshit.
The mindset's very important, right? And the mind plays a huge role in sort of, obviously in our case, definitely being the case. So if the Walmart, you had the Walmart spreadsheet, you talked about that earlier in one of your shows. So how did that sort of get you to actually this AI and lately in marketing and what the product does? Maybe for the benefit of some of the audience, you could tell us sort of, I mean, we've sort of been into it. We love the thing. We think of using it ourselves. But just give us a flavor of, the problem that you're solving.
Yeah, so, the startup that I had with those guys with the $50,000 was a music-related startup. And as I was marketing it, which was fun, somebody else came along and said, "Hey, wow, you're really good at marketing. Could you consult us? We'll pay you a lot more money. You don't have to be in the music industry anymore or listen to bad music." And I was like, that sounds awesome. I need to change. Let's switch the channel. And so we pivoted the company. And essentially my first client was Walmart. So I found myself on this really unique project where Walmart was collaborating with National Disability Institute, IRS, Bank of America, AT&T, United Way, so nonprofit, for-profit, and government. And there were about 10 to 20,000 individual nonprofits and companies also involved in this. It was a financial empowerment program for the poor. So it was a good cause. And my first instinct, because as we talked about earlier, I'd worked at IBM and I'd worked in XM. And so I understood the power of a content management system with hundreds and thousands of people needing to collaborate online. Now, this is nearly 10, 15 years ago now. So like it wasn't something that ever we did all the time, right? So no one had barely heard of Salesforce back then. And again, email was just really starting, and social just like we were just growing away from MySpace at that point, And so I just thought, this is a mess. In order for me to be helpful to them, I have to organize it. And I pulled together one hell of a spreadsheet. And my spreadsheet system got the project 130% ROI year over year for 3 years.
Wow, for 3 years.
For 3 years, yeah. And it did that, Karthi and Lavindra, because of a couple of things. So I was able to uncover the problems, but also the similarities. And so what was fascinating was that the largest retailer in the world had the same problems as the library down the street in marketing, right? And some of those problems were around writing. People didn't want to write, or they were bad at writing, copywriting. Consistency, like you guys know the deal probably. It's, Lauren, you know it. It's have a Coke and a smile every time, right? Not have a Coke and a grin, right? Every time, have a Coke and a smile. So that understanding, how do you get tens of thousands of people to be on the same message? And then also, when you have content that people are working so hard to create, long-form content especially, whether it's newsletters or white papers or videos or podcasts like this, how do you not waste it? Because a lot of time goes into this, and 99% of the time it is wasted, right? We're relying on the live, we're relying on the pre-marketing and getting everybody butts in seats right now. But then afterwards, you've got this content. What are you going to do with it? You're going to post it on a website somewhere? And if you are you going to market it once or twice? And that's a mindset, right? And it's been the mindset a long time, forever. But I had a different idea a decade ago, and it took me the first year to convince them to do it. And then it wasn't until the third year where it became sort of more of a habit. But the idea was to take the long form content, take it apart into hundreds of pieces, and unify the distribution so that not one brand voice was shouting, but thousands, because that makes sense, right? Let's team up. And let's do all the writing for everybody, so no one has that problem either. So we're going to unlock the long form content and spread it around. So
find find the gold nuggets in there and then spread it around.
Find the gold nuggets. Yeah, exactly. Find the best, because when you think about it, because people are bad at writing, generally the title of a piece of long form content is lame. And so sorry if I'm picking on anybody here, but let's just say, so if I was to publish a blog that said interview with Kate Bradley, no one knows who I am. Who am I? Nobody, right? So you have to talk about what happens inside the blog so that you can read it. And an easy way to do that is to look at the quotes of the blog, right? Now that's assuming that you've spent some decent time writing the blog and you're not a complete idiot, because garbage is garbage, right? And so that's what the AI does now. So there's an automation capability, which of course it's automatically doing all of this, but the smarts is that it goes and finds the best quotes, the quotes that it already knows, because this is what it does so magically. It already knows your customers are going to reshare, comment, and like, which is the value, right? And then you can use its advice to write any kind of content in the future, because that's what you want. Once you know what people want to watch, read, or listen to, why the hell wouldn't you keep doing that, right?
Yeah. Makes sense.
So it sort of SEO optimizes it almost just magically.
Yeah, exactly. So what it does is the nuts and bolts, and Lauren can show you guys, of course, is it studies everything you've ever published in the past once you give us access to your channels, and it looks for the highest engaging content that you have, and it builds a writing model based on what it learns, and the writing model updates every 24 hours, right? So it's constantly learning from a year's worth of content every day, right? And it can do this across any number of channels, specific channels. You can tailor it to different kinds of campaigns and really focus in what the brain is learning. And the more you put in, the more you put out, because it's a robot, right? I mean, the more you give it to learn, the more it starts to get better and better for you. So that's why Gary Vaynerchuk, who's one of the most famous marketers in the world, Gary, 20 million followers.
We know Gary. Everybody knows Gary.
Everybody wants to
right?
be Gary.
Everyone does. And, for good reason. We're talking again about the human connection we talked about before. I mean, Gary has staked his claim on that. And that's hard to do, right? He makes, and I've been in the room, he makes everybody feel, it doesn't matter how small you are, incredibly special, right? He's got that ability to make that one-way microphone a two-way, jam. So anyways, he launched an entire Twitter channel built out of our AI, and it got him a 12,000% increase in engagement.
Wow. For him, 12,000% is that's
huge.
Yeah.
The big number.
That's huge.
Yes.
Do you want to see it?
If I can interject, Lauren and Kate, how did you guys meet?
Oh, this is a good one.
Lauren, you want to take that?
Pretty typical, really. I was working, so I have a background in psychology, not counseling. It's more focused on like qualitative research. And I was working at a hospital doing oncology clinical trials, and it was so sad all the time. And I didn't want to be sad all the time anymore. So I was looking for a new job, and I saw Lately was posted on Indeed, and I saved it. I was at work and I was looking for for different jobs, and I saved it and I said, okay, I'm going to apply for this when I get home. When I got home, it wasn't listed on Indeed anymore. So I thought, oh no, I missed my chance. So I actually emailed Kate, and we ended up living only 20 minutes away from each other. I emailed Kate, and I told her that I wanted to disrupt her applicant search a little bit. And so now here we are.
Wow, that's amazing.
And that's what did it too, of course, because we were going to offer the job to somebody else. We had a couple people that we were lined up to, and we're like, who is this? Like, she's from here, she's from where I live, and she's got these cojones, right? Like, this is amazing. And then once we hired, I forgot about this, Lauren, the other day, but I was remembering this. So the first time we met, what did we do? Do you remember?
Oh, we went to the off-track betting, the bet on the ponies.
Did you win? That's an important question.
I won $20 that day, I think. Like,
I did not.
I took her to like the most disgusting place where we live. It's like so shady, like all these dudes. It smells like cigars. You can't smoke there anymore, but like you can tell that they definitely used to. And Lauren's like, "What are we doing?" And I'm like, we're just betting on the ponies. You just pick a few. Here's the deal,
So maybe this would be a good point, Lauren or Kate, whoever wants to do this, to just give our viewers a little bit of the flavor of what you do. I think, you've sort of whetted everybody's appetite with the description. So maybe if they can see it, that'd be great. Is it something you can show very easily?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Great.
Okay, we'll just sit back and enjoy it.
Yeah, we're watching.
Lauren, this is the you show, so go for it.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Good. All right. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, we can.
All right. Perfect. So as Kate said, we take that long form content that you've already spent so much time on, and we help you create those social posts out of it using AI. So we do that with written content, so like blogs, newsletters, press releases, but then also audio and video content, which is really awesome, and I'll show you that as well. First, I'm going to do that written content. So just as an example, I have this one Freshworks blog about working from home, because this is super, super relevant. I'm just going to grab that URL and I'm going to copy it. I'm going to pop back into Lately and I'll just paste it right into here. From there, I can just add in some hashtags. So you're able to load this up before you create any posts, so you can do even less work on the back end. So I'll just add in those hashtags. And also feel free to interrupt me at any time. Sure. And so then I'm just going to go ahead and hit auto generate content. So as Kate said, it's going to learn from that last year's worth of posts just as you're going. So we import your last 12 months of posts as soon as you get started, and we start to build that writing model. And so when you're putting your content in here, it gets weighed against that writing model, and we are going to get a whole bunch of amazing social posts out of that. So in this example, we just got 38 temporary drafts, or 38 possible ways that we can now post about this on social media that are all pretty awesome. As you can see, they have those hashtags in there. They're short linked. There's a couple of other things we can do if we wanted to add like pre-text or post-text or at mentions, anything like that. We can do that all at the front end. So that way it's all going to be in here once we create these social posts. Any questions so far?
I assume we can go ahead and edit them and add things and subtract things as you normally would do.
Yeah, absolutely. And we always recommend that you review them and you make those edits. So you can pop in, click on that little pencil icon, make those adjustments, make sure that it has the right context, the right personalization. You want it to be exactly the way that you want it to be. We don't want the robots to like totally take over the world, right? We want to have a little bit of control over that. So you can pop in, make those edits. You can edit your link previews. You can add additional images. You can change them and just really diversify all of these posts. So instead of just posting, hey, check out this new blog that I wrote, you now have a whole bunch of these different ways that you can post about this on social that are all different and all going to really resonate with your audience differently. So maybe if someone saw your blog post once, didn't really click with them, maybe they see it again, they're like, yeah, I'll look at it later. But then they see one of your posts about it and they're like, oh, this is super interesting, this is exactly what I want to see. Then they'll go ahead and click on it. So you have a lot of these different avenues for people to get to your content. And we do have the full scheduling and publishing capabilities built in here, so you can save these to your individual accounts, schedule and publish them all out, so you basically can just kind of set it and forget it.
Lauren, if I can ask a question, if you don't mind.
Yeah, please.
Sorry,
go ahead. You're the expert. Go ahead.
No, I was just wondering, so if it's hooked up, can it be hooked up to a marketing automation tool? Or?
What do you mean? Tell me more.
Okay. Now I'm just thinking ahead in my head, right? Like, can Lately be hooked up into, like, say something like a HubSpot or a Marketo, and then it sort of handles all of the, the auto generation of the posts, and then it targets the right buyer personas. It's hooked up to a workflow, and then it fires to a certain types of buyers, etc. Is that possible? Or?
Yeah. So. Let me just grab that one, Lauren, which is, so we do have integration possibilities that we're working on in the pipeline, but we're finding that our customers are actually ditching those tools for Lately because they can do almost everything they can do in those tools here.
Okay.
Yeah, but the HubSpot integration is coming very, very soon.
Awesome.
So you mean to say that so this could actually either replace or negate the need for you to get HubSpot because you have the scheduling already built in, right? So you can schedule the post to go out at a certain time and all that.
That's right, and way more, right? So Lately is actually a very robust tool, from planning to scheduling to building you an automatic library that automatically indexes every video, link, photo that you've ever published. I mean, it's pretty powerful.
Okay.
Remember, there's a reason I got Walmart 130% ROI year over year for 3 years. And part of the reason is because I have a little OCD. So for them, I did all that manually. Like I pulled together every possible component of the marketing for 20,000 people that I could think of into a spreadsheet. And I built Lately to do that for you automatically, right? What we learned, by the way, which is interesting, is that we used to sell Lately as an organizational tool. We used to push all those things forward. This is what it does. It automatically does all these things for you. But what consistently our customers were interested in was this piece. So we learned to flip the pitch where we rarely don't sell that stuff. It's a happy accident that you discover it, which is not ideal. We need to work on that. But we're focusing on what people clamor about the most, which is the writing, the unlock.
So I say it's like Twitter, Facebook, everything else. So these posts can go across all of that, Instagram and all of the other channels as well, I assume.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly.
So what if I was to sort of, we've been having a whole series of conversations with various experts and on this marketing in a pandemic series, and it's about the importance and the value of really reaching out to your potential customers and fans out there with really good content, targeted content of very high quality. And so when I saw this, I was like, oh my God, this sort of, there are no more excuses, right? So you don't have to have a team of 35 people dedicated to marketing, which most people can't afford. And the quality is sort of questionable, let's be honest. So you have this person now who's really, not a person, I guess it's a robot, but who can get out there and actually start writing this for you. Really look through all of this content very, very quickly and create 40 posts. So now you're looking at that and you're saying, okay, now let me, put my little flavor to it, my voice, if you might, right? To make it authentic and me, so people know it's from me and it's not from a robot. And you do that minor tweak. So it's not like you can now let the robot do all the marketing. Maybe in the future it can. But at this point, you want to still market. You want to still sort of think with your head and apply that. But my God, you've just made, the need for having, 30 people do this go away, right? Essentially, that's that's what this tool does. I mean, I've only seen a brief. I'm sure it does more, but from this brief little snippet that you showed me, it's pretty clear that that's where you're going. Am I right?
You
Yes,
are. In fact,
you are.
you're saying it better than we say it. I mean, Lauren, I'm taking some mental notes. I see Chris is here. Chris, did you hear that? the no more excuses part was so good. And the thing that you hit on most, Lavindra, that is hard for some people to understand is that the human element, it's an essential component, right? Like, for all the reasons you just said. Yes, it's great that Lately starts you at third base. That's our job, is to get you all the way to the third base. But the human has to be in the mix in order for you to get home and get a run. Has to be, right? Because that little voice there, again, it's just a robot. You can teach it to do a lot of things, but like, for me to give you a hug through Zoom, like this is us. We do this. Right? Humans do this. Yeah.
Right.
So it's funny because we still have a hard time getting people to do that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that goes to the sort of the talent problem, the knowledge problem, or there's always deficits in gaps, right? So we have people like, great people like Colin Anderson, who, MD of Brand Courage, our Graham Hawkins, who talked at length about, the value of LinkedIn for sales. I mean, it's that he, has a great description. He said, it's like going to a networking party where people wear their CV or resume in front of their chest, and you know everything about them, sometimes even before you meet them, right? So, I mean, what a waste if you don't really, take the opportunity to sort of, do something about that, and then nurture them before and then nurture them after with some great content that's specifically targeted at them, right? And so we've been pushing this message about the new 21st century sales and marketing, and this technology that you've developed and these tooling fits right in there. So I mean, we're strong proponents, strong fans. If anybody of our listeners who've sort of we've been preaching a lot about how to do this, here's a tool. So no more excuses is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and it's interesting, Kate and Laura and I. There's actually a data point that Lavi and I stumbled upon a few days ago, in that at the beginning of the buyer's journey, people look a lot at listicles and infographics. And what was interesting for me is once this thing creates 40 posts, you just essentially can turn it into a listicle. Here are 10 things about this blog that's interesting. And then that's another way to repurpose the content so easily, because a lot of marketers find it very difficult to understand value.
Yeah, so that is a great one. Lauren, we got to take notes here, because what's so interesting is I love it when customers are doing exactly what you're doing. They're thinking things we haven't really thought of yet, right? So one of the things that the AI does, if you have a video or a podcast or audio, it automatically will transcribe that into text for you. So a lot of our customers will then use that with their podcast, so they can produce the transcript, publish it right online. Yeah. Yep. But taking it a step farther, like you did, makes for a better read, first of all. And on that note, what we did hear from one customer, which I love so much, Phil Treadwell, he's a mortgage expert and a marketing whiz-bang. He actually ran one of his blogs through Lately, and the social posts that Lately came up with were not very good. And so he assumed his blog was poorly written. And he rewrote the blog and then redid the post, and they came out good. And he was right, which was like amazing. So that's how much he trusted the AI. But I love, it's the idea of turning it inside out that you're doing too, Yeah. It's cool.
Yeah. So, okay. So this really brings like interesting point, right? I mean, I think you touched on it briefly, so to get the authenticity of the person who's writing this stuff, there are some techniques. Do you provide some? I know I've watched some of your videos, and you have some great tips on hashtags and how to sort of, do you, as a part of your sort of customer onboarding, elevate sort of the end user's use of the tool by providing some of that sort of, in Hindi we call it gyan or wisdom, right? Where you sort of, because remember, the more, more well-versed or expert the people are, the better they will use the tool, right? So I was wondering whether you give some of your great inspiration, insights on how to use or how to do marketing as a part of the tool.
Yeah, softball. Sweet. So what is it called? Yawn? Jan?
Gyan, yes, Gyan, Gyan.
Gian.
Yes,
Gian.
yeah.
Yeah, so wisdom. I love wisdom. So I like that people think I might have wisdom. So Lauren and I do it together. We do a monthly copywriting masterclass,
Okay.
and we do exactly what you're saying. So we will auto-generate somebody's blog or video or podcast, and from the snippets that Lately produces, we then go in and we optimize each one. And the goal there is to share best practices, to make you understand why it's so powerful, and to really, the hardest part people find, I feel, Karthi and Lavindra, is that voice that you mentioned before, to either understand what their own voice might be or literally how to communicate it. I also teach a master writing class on just this specifically, but it's the idea that, because I was a fiction writing major, right? So like, I have that background, and what I learned when you're writing fiction writing, which is a little bit different than writing, typical nonfiction or reports, is that the power of the pen or the keyboard is up to you to wield, and you don't have to follow rules at all, right? And that's the thing about communicating online, is it's all in the end text-based, right? So you do need to have this command of the keyboard, and the keyboard is wonderful. There are capital letters, there are tildes and parentheses, ellipses, bold, italics, there's spacing, there's the return bar, right? There's numbers, percent signs, question marks. All these things designed to make your resume look a certain way, because that's what resumes are supposed to do, right?
Right.
To make your website look a certain way. Again, this is back to cooking. Like, you eat with your eyes, you read with your eyes, right? And what I'm interested in is getting this voice through the medium, whether it's radio or the plate of food or a piece of paper, into your brain, into your heart, into your brain, right? So how can I make you hear my voice? Because what you do when you read is you do it aloud in your head, right? There's some sound involved. And so when we do this master class, I always will be reading them out loud. Right? I'll read what the AI put, and then I put my spin on it. And Lauren, this is how good she is. She's typing as I'm talking. I don't even have to say anymore, because she can hear it. So I'll capitalize something that I'm emphasizing as I'm saying it,
right.
Or I'm really interested in verbs. I always pull, this is my favorite book that inspires verbs and all kinds of other words. It's called L is for Lollygag. And I got it because I love the thesaurus, and I was always looking for the thesaurus, but I felt like I like the way words sound. So it's a book of quirky words for a clever tongue, and the words like helter skelter, knickerbockers, ne'er-do-well, yellow-bellied, swashbuckler, whirligig, right? These are fun words to say. They feel fun to say. And so I use it to inspire myself, because that's part of the persona that I, as you guys have seen online, that I create, right?
Absolutely.
And it's fun. So it's a great class. And we, like you guys, we really encourage the participants of our customers, our fans, to join in. And Lauren and I have gotten really good at making it into a conversation, and not just a one-way street, Yeah.
So you also said that the AI can translate this, right? So what are the languages it can translate to? Which I think, for audience who are, global, right? So if you take an article written in English, does it mean that you can translate it into French and Hindi or whatever else, or actually have the post in a native language to get more attention, maybe?
Lauren, go for it.
Yeah, that's a great question. So it doesn't actually translate the language, but if you take a French blog or a Spanish blog, it will actually create the French or Spanish social posts. And it works that same way with the videos as well. If you have a Spanish video, it will transcribe it in Spanish and then get you those Spanish social posts. So it does let you do that for all those different languages.
Oh.
Lauren, it's interesting. I was just wondering about your background. You said you were in psychology, but not like as a therapist. Did you find that has helped you be really good at being the head of growth? Because I remember watching a video from the Value Graphics David, where he was like Lauren is an absolute star, like she's the best. Did you find that you were able to call upon those traits for you to understand what the buyer was looking for or the customer?
Yeah, I think so. A lot of my background, I did, as I said, that qualitative research. So I was doing a lot of like interviews and focus groups and things like that to try to get to the meat of what people had to say. And so I think that definitely helped a lot, because now I'm able to ask exactly those right questions to be able to know what people need, what their problems are, those types of things.
I think we have a great question from Mike.
Question in from Mike. He said, we're a startup selling on social media, mainly Instagram. How can we migrate to Lately?
So I'll start and you can end, Lauren. So the questions you should ask yourself, Mike, is about your content. So one thing we've learned is that if you are not creating long-form content regularly, Lately might be a little bit daunting for you. So we know it's an important just box to check. So do you have a podcast that you're publishing? Do you have a blog that you're publishing regularly? What does that look like? Now, we can feed you content to help you if you're not doing that, but that should be like an extra bonus thing. So that's the first thing to think about. But migrating is easy. It takes literally seconds, so there's no challenge there. And then, Lauren, the question about scheduling Instagram stories, no one can do that. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. So no one can do that to auto-publish Instagram stories. And so that is something, it's really just like an Instagram limitation.
They don't allow it.
Yeah, right. So we are able to schedule and publish Instagram feed images and also videos, but just not in the stories and not in the IGTV.
And the thing I did want to note as well is, so when Lately auto generates, hey Lauren, would you mind pulling up Gary's channel real quick?
Sure.
Channel. So what it does is with videos or podcasts is it actually will pull apart, it automatically transcribes everything. It looks through the transcription for the top quotes that your customers are going to want to read, and then it matches the video section up to those quotes. So you can see in Gary right here, these are mini videos that match the quote written there, right? So you get hundreds and sometimes thousands of mini movie trailers from one piece of content, depending on how big it is. And the trick too is to use them all. So you don't want to use them all in the same week. You want to spread them out over time, right? Because this show here, you guys are saying really interesting things. I think I'm saying some interesting stuff. It's going to be effective and applicable next year, for sure.
Yeah, it's evergreen.
Right? Mm-hmm. It's evergreen. That's right. So that's another new mindset that we were talking about earlier is all marketers, all salespeople must think of all content they create now as evergreen, and thinking about how they're going to use it to recycle it, moving forward.
Oh, great point, that one. Evergreen, Karthika, good one.
Yeah, it's a good one. I'm interested in the work you did for value graphics because interestingly, Lavi and I are constantly debating about, demographic segmentation versus building tribes.
You should meet David.
Yeah, I was fascinated. I mean, I
am fascinated how we can leverage Lately to help build tribes.
Yeah. Okay. So I love this idea. Lauren, would you just do one? I know we're pushing time here, but do a screen share of the keyword bubble so they can see what that looks like? Sure. So this is one thing we've talked about with David. So value graphics, just for people who are listening, is the new way of understanding demographics. So demographics are, as we all know, right, facts about where you live, what color your skin is, whether you not went to college, how much money you make, and how old you are. However, the world doesn't purchase things or make decisions based on those qualifications. We do it based on different values. So we, all of us here, live in different parts of the world. I know we're different ages. We have, some of us are married, some of us are not, whatever. But we have lots of things in common that have nothing to do with the demographics of who we are.
Yep.
But our values are the same. And so value graphics helps you predict what people are going to do and purchase and buy based on what they care about, right? Now, with Lately, this is our word cloud that the AI uses to understand what customers care about. Literally, the words they care about. Okay. And this is, again, the idea of the opportunity for the human to come in and work with Lately. So Lately is recommending in blue keywords that you should pay attention to. So it's saying, hey, Kate, the word human got you guys 9,000 impressions in one post. Seems like human is a valuable word to your target audience. Do you want the AI to pay more attention to it or less attention, right? And we do this with hashtags. We do this with @mentions as well. So this is what, when people ask about social listening, we kind of laugh a little bit because this is social listening. This is actual listening, right? This is what's trending. This is what matters. Not the top keywords that people are paying for. So we have a secret diabolical, dream to integrate with David, Allison, and Valley Graphics.
I figured.
Yes.
No, it makes perfect sense. So in the time remaining, I just wanted to hit out a couple of things. So who is actually your ideal customer profile? What's your target market? How if somebody's interested, like Mike seems to be, how do they sort of sign up with Lately? Is it a
How do we sign up with Lately?
Yeah, we want to do that.
We love you guys. You're so nice. So it's very easy. You can just email Lauren at lately.ai or Kate at lately.ai. We're very easy to find and we're very friendly, and we'll actually answer your email, number one. But also, we serve customers large and small. And we have a sliding scale fee to accommodate whatever your needs are. We have some, threshold for a starting point, but we need to talk to each person because we're still learning about the needs of the customers. So that's an important thing for us, and that can be a little bit of a challenge for some people to understand. But we treat our small customers with the same love and care that we treat our very large customers. So you're going to get that value. And we're nice. That's the other thing.
Really?
Pretty nice. But our small customers will have one license, and our larger customers might have hundreds of licenses, right? And we give the larger customers the ability to stack them, so one person can be a puppeteer. Remember, we talked about Walmart and everybody doing it together. Same idea, right? If you can get hundreds of people to tell people about your company together, why wouldn't you do that? And if you can do it automatically, hello,
So that's really fantastic. So if you have a group of evangelists,
right?
I'm
so
not
we do
even
that
going to
ourselves.
finish that sentence because I'm getting goosebumps.
You know it, right? So everyone at Lately publishes content about Lately automatically through Lately. Like Lately does it for them, so they don't have to think about it, because my salespeople have other things to do, more important. They need to go out and respond and have conversations with you, the human part that only humans can do. So let's automate the push so that the pull gets to be the magic, and let it's the fun part anyways, right? Except for me, because I don't like talking to people.
I don't like talking to people either. So I think Lauren and Ravi are a little bit similar, and you and I are a little bit similar.
We've had similar roles. That's probably why.
That's amazing. Go ahead.
So really, so it's really fascinating. I think the tool itself, I think we've scratched the surface in order to just to understand, get a flavor. And I'm hoping that both the live audience as well as the recording, which and the posting that we'll do subsequently multiple times, tend to garner lots of views. So that they will contact you and Lauren and sort of set up a much more detailed deep dive, I would say, of the technology and the tooling, and also to try and understand, maybe pick your brain a little bit about how they could improve their marketing, right? So I think one thing that's really clear from the pandemic is that this is really the time to do really good marketing and sales, right? Not the time to sort of go in and get into a defensive mode. So this is the time to go out and actually do more and do it really smartly. And I think this is what Lately does. It definitely does marketing smartly, right? As I haven't seen something that this great. Interestingly, we had a guest on our show, and we'll try to hook you guys up in the back. But they're a company called Pictory AI, and they're out of Seattle, Washington. What they do is they take any long-form content, either yours or somebody else, and create a video in seconds using AI. Okay, so
with voiceover.
Voiceover, yeah, with voiceover, video images, everything. It's really cool. Yeah, so they make a clip and do it in 30 seconds. It's just, so they read the long form and then they create video clips And then you can obviously, just like your tool, edit in, edit out, and say, I don't like that image, I'll pick this one instead of this video clip. And
Cool.
it's royalty-free content. They've got, I think, 3 or 4 million video clips in there that they've subscribed to. So it just translates it into video.
That's so smart. And because what you said, like, there's no shame in marketing or selling during a pandemic at all.
Yeah.
You just have to do it smartly, like you said, and that's the way to do it, anyways, right? But now people are more open-minded to how important it is to be thoughtful in everything we do, right? Because there's humans on the other end.
It's interesting for me because lately sounds like the human AI.
Thanks. That's what we think of as well. And that's the highest compliment we could imagine. So thank you, Karthi.
Yeah.
It's amazing that people still do a lot of spray and pray these days. I mean, on the sales and marketing side, and I mean, we always try to focus on people saying, that's not the strategy in a pandemic, right? There's too much of that going around. You don't need, that's not a way to get viral. Pardon the pun, but
yeah. I mean, the crazy thing is everybody. What people still don't understand is like the how part, right? So I think people even know maybe not to do that, but they're so confused on how not to do that. They just get stuck, right? So that's why. That is why we meet with smaller customers the same way we meet with our larger ones. That's why Lauren knows everybody's name by name, and I mostly do. I'm getting a little bit farther away from it now, but like that's why we have the master writing class, is because marketing is hard. It doesn't matter if you're on Team Gary Vee or you're Walmart. They have the same questions that Mike has. Same questions. We hear them every day. Right?
Well, we're excited to sort of sign up and see what we can do with this, because we do need the tooling. It's clear from what we've seen, and we are generating a lot of content. We got, I think, now 45, 50 hours of it since we started in April.
We'll definitely send us the file here, because we're going to run it through the AI and
Absolutely.
that you'll definitely get. But and I love the posts we generate out of it. It's fun. But
awesome.
Both Lauren and Kate, thank you so much for taking the time. I know this is earlier in the morning for Lauren and a little early for you as well, Kate. So thank you for sharing all these insights, and I'm glad that we got a chance to actually see the product in action. It's great what you've built. We are excited to be customers potentially, and I'm hoping the others that view this give you a shot as well and try it out. I think it'll be a great marketing tool. So we're advocating this strongly, having just seen it ourselves. But I like what I see. So.
Thank you.
That's
in fact, Kate, we might actually reach out to you separately about this blog post we're writing on content experience of hubs and how AI can be integrated into that.
Awesome. I would love that. I just want to thank you so much and get back to what we started in the beginning, which is the lifting up of others, which is, it's important always, and it's important now more than ever, right? Because ups and downs. I mean, half of California is on fire, which is weird. Some of Denver, lots of weird things. People are trying to go back to school. That's bizarre. And there's just all this stuff happening. So we are very grateful for you today. And thank you so much.
Oh, it's been a singular pleasure. Thank you again.
Thank you, Lauren.
All the very best, and we'll be in touch.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.